So, 2020 was fun, huh? It was a very historical time, some might call it, you know? A lot of events, you know, Black Lives Matters, the U.S. election, the Big Sickie, all that stuff that I'm just not smart enough to really articulate and give the proper nuance for to talk about. So instead, I'll shift my focus to the one thing that brought many people comfort during this crazy time. The one thing that I can speak the good words about and not sound like a total moron. Video games! And welcome to Railing Abyss's Best and Worst Games I Played in 2020. And oddly, I didn't play a lot of bad stuff this year. I might have said I had a pretty good game-wise this year, but that doesn't mean I didn't still play a game that sucked total ass. The honor of the worst game of the year goes to Will, A Wonderful World, a game that bored me more than anything else. You know, I tried to give this game a chance. I did. I really did. I tried to think positively, but every corner, it disappointed me. No joke. It did. Because, the crazy thing about this is that it never really utilizes any of its ideas in any interesting ways. Doesn't matter if it's gameplay or story. A lot of stuff just is there. And frankly, I was so bored of the game by the halfway point, I just opened up a guide hoping that by the time I got towards the end, I'd get to something more interesting. And that moment never came. Yeah. But hey, at least you're looking to get better from here, right? Oh snap! Am I going to be mean about Pokemon? And the answer is yes, very yes. Pokemon X is probably one of the worst Pokemon games I have ever played. And it's mostly because it really exacerbates a lot of the issues I've had with the series. And my two main issues I have with Pokemon are, one, it's piss-easy gameplay, and two, it's absolutely nothing story. Let's start off with gameplay, because that's what I wrote first in the script. Now, I understand that Pokemon is an RPG meant for little kids, but does that mean it has to be boring? No, it doesn't. Because this game is designed around experience share, which makes the game more of a joke than it already is. And which, by the way, the only challenge I got in Pokemon is when I had to fucking grind. And thanks to experience share, I did not have to grind at all. I mean, in the beginning, I tried to do that. I'm not going to use experience share, but then I gave up. Why? Because the damn game is designed with you having experience share on, and that's why you can even out your levels easily. It's so fucking annoying. And if you're like, oh, maybe the Elite Four and Champion will give me a good fight like they always do, it didn't happen. They were steamrolled like they were nothing because it was so pathetic. It was sad. God. Now, let's move on to point 2, story. Pokemon is about story, about adventure, but frankly, I've never felt that during any of these games, ever. Because really, Pokemon games really don't have much character to them. I mean, especially in this game, because there's your rivals, I guess. You know, your rivals, opposite gender, girl, nerd, and dancer as you travel across not France to stop the evil Team Fashion Police. Oh god, even their boss Lionhead is so lame. My god, he's what I call a generic Pokemon antagonist. He just has no personality, and his only saving grace is his banger battle theme, and that's it. My god, is the story just nothing of nothing. Your rivals just are so fucking bad and uninteresting, and they have nothing to do or say. And, oh yeah, there's also this one guy that keeps showing off. What's his name? Oh, AZ. Ah, yes, the always memorable AZ, the king from an alternate reality or whatever. What the fuck was his deal again? Was he a king from an alternate reality? I don't remember. Oh, wait. What's that? Oh, he's supposed to be like N? Oh, really? But he did nothing for almost the whole goddamn story. Oh, he's a bad version of N. Yeah. Because he gives you, like, he's like the last fight you'll play in the game. And he doesn't give you a challenge at all. He's even more of a joke than a champion. Okay. Well, I wouldn't say I had a total miserable time. When I had YouTube videos on in the background, I was able to truck through it like it was no problem. So instead of being a 7, it's a 6. I should have rated it a 5. It's very rare for me to actively dislike a game, but yet still be willing to find the positives in it. Like, Fire Emblem Fates is the most I've ever been conflicted on a game in my whole entire life. On one hand, Fates gameplay-wise takes a lot of what Awakening did and make great improvements on it. I mean, heck, I could say for a fact after finishing 2 of the 3 campaigns that the gameplay is both fun and reasonably challenging. It's just that the other main point that really drives me down the salt mines is the writing. The thing is that I'm not going to pretend that I'm not going to pretend that the Fire Emblem series always had this super amazing writing. No, but the thing is that it always got the job done of keeping the plot going and making total sense. And the thing is that Fates barely does the bare minimum of that. In fact, it does a rather poor job. Like, hey, do you want to know why the real bad guy gets away with all of his bullshit? Want to know why? If you talk about him outside his turf, you explode. Fucking what? That is so fucking stupid. And the worst part, it doesn't even start there. The character writing, which by the way is usually Fire Emblem's strong suit, a lot of it is bad too. Like, most of the supports are either fucking nothing or completely contradictory to what they are in the main story. Like, look at Poo Poo Brain Xander. The man goes from, yeah, I've been pretty suspicious of Dad lately. He seems a little too evil these days. To, Corin, I don't understand. Why do you doubt these words? Why? I hate you forever. And the worst part is that, like, I'm only partly joking about this, about the issues with this, and really it just like it is just, I just simply do not have the time to fully list off all my issues with Fate's writing, but it is so terrible and so atrocious that I have a hard time going back to trying to remember the characters I do like, and that is just so sad. The only reason why I was interested in playing this was because this is the first arcade game to have the big N's name on it in forever. And I mean like a wholly original, not based on anything else. Yeah, it's made by Raw Thrills, but like what American-made arcade game doesn't have their name on it these days? Like, I'm not even joking when I say this, but where I found this cabinet, like almost every single one of them had Raw Thrills' name on it in some form. So that weird coincidence. Let's switch over to the game itself. It's a simple, easy racing game that kind of just is over before you know it. Like, literally, it's over before you know it. Like, the footage you're seeing right now shows you like it ends in a matter of seconds. But you know, it's pretty neat. It's like if this was like a full game with more content to it, I'd probably say it was a pretty enjoyable time. But you know, hey, you gotta make the bill somehow, right? Like, you get a minute of content, like $1 a minute, which is kind of lame, but whatever. Hopefully, maybe one day Nintendo will make a Cruis'n game for consoles again. Hey, howdy, hey, gamers! I played like 2 betas last year, and they were for Guilty Gear Stride and Gundam vs. Maxion Boost, whatever the hell its full title. It's on the screen. I had a pretty fun time with both of them. I think they're neat. I'm clearly someone with absolutely no goddamn skill to play either of them. I will likely return to both of them in the near future. I just don't know when. Gundam will probably come sooner than Guilty Gear, mostly because I already own the Gundam game, and Guilty Gear is something that I have to pay for, and I don't know if I'm up for that yet. Now then, dropped games, baby! Dropped games, baby! Let's move on to the dropped games. Showing on the screen right now are games that just didn't work. Kind of the price to pay when you get loose disc games is sometimes they just don't work. A little disappointed about Armored Core, but whatever, I have others. Next up on the Drop Games Corner is Smuggler's Run. It's not a bad game. I just think it's just not to my taste. I didn't care for it, and when the game crashed on me, I just didn't care to boot it up. Again, this might be something I will come back to in a later video. Hint, hint, hint. Next game on the drop corner, drop, Shovel Knight Showdown. Shovel Knight is probably one of my favorite games of all time, but this was just a simple reminder of like, oh, this game was kickstarted. Huh. Feels a bit tacked down, not terribly fleshed out in any interesting ways that makes it like a fun party fighter, but whatever. If Yacht Club decides to come back to this concept as its own game, then I'll be more down for it, but for now, I just didn't want to bother with it anymore. I think a big reason why adventure games kind of fell hard out of fashion was because slamming your head on everything to figure out what to do, where to go, or to solve that one puzzle isn't fun and is more frustrating. And it seems to me that RPG Maker games are the ones keeping that old spirit alive. Only through its storytelling atmosphere does it keep you engaged. And this, by the way, was the realization I made by the time I had reached the final steps of the first area of Pocket Mirror. Because then my brain went like, yeah, no, I ain't dealing with that shit anymore, and I turned off the game. Now, this doesn't mean I've sworn off RPG Maker games. Mad Father was neat. It's just that Pocket Mirror wasn't hitting the right spots for me to care. Oh, hey, we're already at the best drop game already? And I will say this now, it is a damn good port of Persona 3. Adds all the quality of life changes Persona 4 introduced, and helps make it a better game for it. Also, the female option is interesting enough for a second playthrough. The only reason why I dropped it was I just wasn't in the mood to play Persona 3. Simple as that. A Warriors crossover that brings a number of Koei Tecmo's IPs together was something that was going to happen sooner or later, and thankfully it was a good one. While its character roster is filled with literal who's, its variety is interesting enough to have an engaging time. My biggest complaints against the game is that it doesn't have a lot of replay incentives for it, which is weird because I usually play these games until I'm sick of them. It's just, I just didn't feel like I got the true ending and didn't feel like doing another playthrough. Another issue is I feel like the two main mechanics of the game, bravery and the team stuff, kind of don't work that great. Bravery feels like it exists solely to make sure the player fights in a specific way in a battle, which is ridiculous, and turns the battle into a joke. And the team mechanics, which if you fully get that going, also turns it into a joke. So, that was the thing. I mean, they're only minor nitpicks. I might come back to this game someday and maybe try to wrap up whatever I did not do. Spider-Man PS4 was one of my top favorite games of 2018. And finally, 2 years later, I got around to the DLC. Mostly because it was finally at a price I was willing to pay for it. And it gave me more of a love, kind of. I mean, yeah, I had a grand old time with it. It's more Spider-Man, and this is where I will nitpick a little bit. The story did not feel like a proper epilogue or a continued story at all. It felt like they were just sequel hooking you the whole goddamn time. And I think the fact is like this was an episodic release kind of also hurt the storytelling by quite a bit. And I also think that each of the episodes don't have enough collectibles on their own to be their own separate maps. Like if this was like if this was one combined DLC, I'd probably have less to complain about. But otherwise, hey, it's more Spider-Man. And I'll get to Miles Morales when I get a PS5. You know what? Another year passes by, I play another game that does all of its ideas pretty well, and I have a fun time with it. My Friend Pedro is a short and sweet game that does everything it wants to do and makes it a blast to play. It feels like I'm doing a bunch of sick, nasty tricks in fun ways, and also, yes, hee, banana funny. There's not much I have else to say about it. It's just a good time. I would best describe Disaster Report 4 as a playable, low-budget disaster movie where you are the poor schmo trying to live through the never-ending string of disasters. And the best part about it, you pick every single thought that's going through that schmo's head, so you can play them as kind, cowardly, or as douchey as you want. Yes, the game runs like ass, and it's not the prettiest face around, but the thing is that I had so much genuine fun traveling through this charming, crumbling city that it kind of weirded out whatever technical issues it had. It is a genuinely fun time going through this story. It's a wonderful roller coaster. You never know what's going to happen next. And gems like this is the reason why I will always give lower rent games a chance. I'm going to be real with y'all. I did not go into this game with very high expectations. You know, it was the monster collecting spin-off of the monster hunting game made for kids, so you know it wasn't going to be all that good. But then as I played the game, I became pleasantly surprised and having a grand old time, which shouldn't be that shocking since, you know, Capcom's the one, which shouldn't be all that shocking at the end of the day since it was made by Capcom of all people, one of the few companies that tend to make more good than bad games, and it was also a spin-off of the Monster Hunter IP. You know, the one IP Capcom never seems to or refuses to fuck up. And while it's not a terribly deep game, and it is a bit on the easy side, you know, because it's a kid's game, but it was a charming enough an adventure that kept me engaged until the very end, and you know what? I am hyped for the sequel. You think, since I placed the sequel so high last year, you think this would be a little bit higher. And the answer is, it probably would have been if I actually finished the questions arc. Please, no spoilies. I'm still on episode 3. But for one reason or another, I kept holding off. Yeah, when I think on it now, it was kind of a bad idea to hold off playing it now since, well, the recent anime decided to broadcast, and when they cried hitter doesn't want to shut up. Shut up about it. But the fear of the game crashing on me for unknowable reasons after not saving for hours was a real fear that I had to go through while playing this. Anyone who says it's easy to get into PC gaming can eat my ass. Though despite that fear, I can say with confidence that I enjoyed my time in Hinawazawa, with little as it was, and it's mostly thanks to its strong character writing and good atmosphere. However, if I had one minor complaint, so far I'd say the mystery part of this mystery story isn't all that strong. But hey, it's getting the job done of moving the story forward. Did these two place pretty high because I'm a massive Yumineko fanboy? And you know what? I'm not going to pretend that is not the case. It is in fact what happened. I am a massive Yumineko fanboy, and for about a year or so, that game had my brain hostage for an unhealthy. Well, I wouldn't say unhealthy, but like, let's just say a day didn't go by where I did not think about at least a tiny bit. Like it was in my mind palace for a very, very long time. And Sebastian and Hayden were nice little extra treats. After finishing the Yumineko story, they're definitely not required if you want to go through it. Like, you just need to go through Yumineko, the questions arc, then the core or answer arc, wherever the fuck it's called, and you get the full experience. These are just nice little bonuses for those who want a little more, and they were nice. Really, really nice. I should get around to Saku. Why did I not play Saku yet? It's quite rare for me to play more than one warrior game in a given year, mostly because I play them to the point of being sick of playing them. But since replayability seems to be an issue for both this one and Warriors All-Stars, it kind of forced me to play a medium amount for both of them. And as for this one, well, I was charmed by the life story of the Sonatas. Even though it was quite a different retelling of the events, it was still a very fun journey, and it gave me my usual fun time when I have with the Warrior games, you know? And I totally recommend this one. A special note about this game, it finally made me realize that I'm kind of bad at shooters. Did I have a bad time with it? No, I had fun. Eternal is a good sequel to Doom 2019 because it kept what worked and only added upon it to give it more variety. And well, I will admit not everything was done spectacularly, like Archviles are annoying to deal with, and Marauders were definitely designed with more higher skilled players in mind. It wasn't done poor enough to ruin the fun. And I am still amazed I managed to beat an ultra-violent. I will never be able to do that again. Well, at least in this franchise. Another great sequel? Yeah, Hacker's Memory is a pretty damn good sequel. And it takes the if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach. Cyber Sleuth was a pretty good game on its own. And the boys at Minivision made the right choice by simply polishing up the gameplay and, to my surprise, giving it a well pulled off sidequel story that managed to add value to its predecessor, and thankfully, both Hacker's Memory and Cyber Sleuth are bundled together to make an even better game, I'd say. So, Bandai Namco, can you please get Mediavision to do a third Digimon Stories game? Because my god, if they manage to do a third one, it'll be nothing short of fantastic. Did I have a stroke or something? Because did I, the single-player weirdo, place a multiplayer-focused game high on my favorites list? And the answer is no. I'm fine. Medically speaking, at least. It's just that it's a multiplayer game that finally clicked with me. And what clicked was a fun, optical course platformer that you play with a bunch of other people. By the way, I burned myself out while playing that. Like, I played the shit out of Season 1. And, you know what? Despite that, I still come back to it once in a while. Especially if I have, like, a podcast I want to listen to. If you told me one of my favorite games of 2020 would be a console port of a mobile game, I would totally believe you and praise that a quality title managed to escape the unsalvageable hell that is the mobile game market. And what is that mobile game? It's called Raging Loop. It's a really good visual novel. It is a really good mystery story that is carried by its fantastically written protagonist, who, by the way, is an asshole protagonist done right, and two very good female leads, though I like one over the other for more devious reasons. And really, my only complaint about this whole game is that the final act, while a satisfying ending, could have been much stronger. Earlier in this video, I said Shovel Knight is one of my favorite games of all time, and I mean it with every expansion. Shovel of Hope is fantastic, Spectre of Torment is fantastic, I enjoyed Plague of Shadows, and you know what? King of Cards, the latest expansion for Shovel Knight, is a fantastic addition to the treasure trove. And it's kind of sad this is the last campaign we're going to get, you know? Because this campaign really cements Shovel Knight Treasure Trove as one of my top 10 favorite games. King of Cards is good old-fashioned platforming goodness. Writing, stellar pixel art, and banger-ass tunes. It makes it a wonderful complete package that, I dare say, is worth the purchase by itself alone.
Can it be? Can it truly, truly be? Truly, truly, truly?
Dragon Quest is basically where the modern RPG first came to be. It is a series that has gained legendary status in its homeland of Japan, and after finishing Dragon Quest XI, I can see why the series has lasted as long as it has. Either it's because its charming fairy tale story, filled to the brim with a likable cast of characters traveling a fantastical world, or it's simple battle system that's easy to understand but still manages to bring the challenge. And you know what? I finally get why it's called King, and I'm finally glad the West is starting to see why this King is so well loved.